Okay, this hangout on air is live. Welcome to OreAni Summer Lineup 2017. Yes, this marks about what, almost 5 years since we've been doing this. So it's been a long time. It's been really fun with you guys.
Yep.
Today with us we have Albert Nyampasu.
Hello, Nyampasu.
Nyampasu is the greeting of summer. Hello, Jessica. We have Jessica with us.
Hi.
Nyampasu to you.
Thank you.
With us we have Mona. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello.
Nyampasu. And Sean. Kiri narimasu. Nyampasu.
Nyanpasu. Is there a gesture that goes with Nyanpasu? Is it like Nyanpasu, or does she just hold up her hand and says Nyanpasu?
Nyampasu. That's a really good question. I'm gonna have to look that up later. Okay, so
She just holds up her hand.
call outs to Nick and Tyler. We're hoping you could join us. Hopefully they'll join us later on today, or hopefully next week even. I want to hear what they have to say. First on our schedule for discussions is, I guess, one of our favorites, Made in Abyss.
Yeah, my arms aren't that short. I can't pull off the Nyanpasu. I just have it like right next to my head.
So who wants to start with
Yeah, I'll do it. Made in Abyss. It's definitely the show of the season. It seems to have captured the imagination of everyone. So it's a show that has like pretty good visual world building. Like it has a strong design aesthetic. It has like, I don't know, because so far it's all suggestion, but it's all very evocative. Like I really want this to be a show that has like a mechanically dense and interesting fantasy world. It's sort of built on the premise of it is that there's this chasm in the earth, just this giant hole that stretches down. Nobody knows how far it goes. But every layer of this abyss has even more terrifying fantasy creatures and ancient relics, and it's a big mystery. And there's this town built around the edge of the abyss, and the whole economy of that town is plunging the depths and seeing what sort of abyssal treasures and secrets lie within. So it follows a group of orphans who are sort of raised in this economy, like they're training to become I don't know what they call them.
Basically. They're the whistles, like they're divers, right?
Okay, so if they call them divers, then sure. So they're training to become divers of the depths, and yeah, they wear whistles. That's sort of the indicator of their rank. So they're red whistles, which are like trainees, and then white whistles are like the elite of the elite, and there are a bunch of colors in between.
I think it was black, blue, and purple.
Okay. Then it follows a girl of destiny, and she finds this like weird cyborg boy who has no memories, like in the abyss. He just sort of emerges from there, and he's like half, as a cyborg would be, he's like half person and half robot. He's got like robot arms that can extend, which is really useful for climbing. He seems to have some sort of like terrifying death ray. And who knows what else. He doesn't have any memories, but he wants to dive back in the abyss to find out.
Don't forget about his arms that extend.
Yep. So this just has like such a strong design sense. Like the whole world is the unifying design concept of the whole world is verticality, and you can see that in like the orphanage classroom where the desks are sort of posted on the walls, so it's like this vertically arranged classroom. It's really interesting. the way the show constantly frames the sets with like constant overheads always reminds you of the verticality. And every layer suggests that there's like a different biome, kind of like a video game, you know, like you're playing Minecraft or something. But it feels like a world that's somewhat inspired by Minecraft. There's something kind of video game-ish about it. So I'm hoping that it sort of fulfills on all those on that promise of it being a show that has a lot of like interesting world building and depth, and even though it has these really kiddie-ish character designs, it's a seinen show. So, you know, so that's good and bad, right? So the good part is it's more sophisticated than a straight-up children's show. And it seems to suggest dark elements. And I've heard some spoilers, and it sounds like those things are going to come. So it's not a children's show, actually. It's a seinen show, but the negative side of that is, you know, there's a little bit of lowly service. It plays to nostalgia a lot. Like, I hope it doesn't do that too much, because I want there to be dark and subversive and weird and grotesque elements, because that'll make it fun. So I don't just want it to be like a happy, fun adventure time. Everything's cute. Everything's great.
The orphanage is pretty darn sketchy, too. At one point, Rico says, oh, if I get caught doing this, they're going to, you know, string me up naked. And at first you think that this is all hyperbole, but then you find out later, this is something that they actually do. And the morality of sending elementary schoolers into a lethal zone aside, the punishments don't seem to be in comparison to the crimes. And I don't know, it just doesn't seem like a very good institution with these kids' best interests at heart at all. It's still a great show.
Yeah, there are a lot of dark suggestions there, and they punish especially for taking the relics. Like, if you find treasure and you keep it, then that's like apparently one of the highest crimes you can commit. So it just makes you wonder, like, why are these things valuable? What are they doing with them? But in the latest episode, they already leave the orphanage, probably for good. So I don't know if we'll ever know.
Mm.
So I was a little disappointed by that.
Has anyone read the manga?
Yeah.
Yeah? What'd you think of the manga?
No, I said not yet. I haven't read it. The production for that show reminds me of like a child from the 80s. So like the production and direction of the show itself reminded me a lot of The Last Unicorn and Dark Crystal in terms of those darker elements and the way the story moves, and, just pacing, and you know, the characters, and there's just like Ni no Kuni element to it too. We're dealing with kids, and everybody's going on a crazy adventure that no child should have to face. So it's like, it's very nostalgic for me. Like, there's some very nostalgic elements in it for me. And there's also that kind of RPG vibe that, you know. But I really, really liked it. I loved the animation. I thought it was gorgeous. The backgrounds and the environment was really, really well done in terms of being able to draw you into that world. So I was impressed.
Yeah, I like that it's not only good looking, but it does have an edge to it. Like in the latest episode, they visit some sort of slums where the economy of that place is that they plunge into the depths illegally, and you only get to see glimpses of the people who live there, but they don't look right. They say that the whole town is like poisoned or something like that. So that was a bit spooky. And then the depths themselves seems to be like a world of madness. Like the further you plunge, the harder it is to come back up to the surface. You know, sometimes if you plunge too far, you can't even come back, and even if you do, you'll never be the same. So
Well, look at the creatures the mom drew and left for them to find. All of those different, like the creatures getting progressively weirder. Fill up like further down you go.
yeah. Yeah, so one of the big hooks of the story is that the girl of destiny finds a letter from her mom, who was like the one of the best divers that there ever were, and basically this letter that says like, "Come find me in the depths" or something. I forgot what it says, but something like that, something to that effect, and that sort of initiates the journey of like, I have to go find my mom. I'm gonna leave the orphanage like in the middle of the night and do this impossible quest.
I believe she's way too hasty. She should have waited a few more years. I guess that would make the show boring.
Okay.
But the thing I'm really interested in seeing how it would affect them, or if it will affect them later on, is that sickness that they're always talking about. That from each level, as you go down further, the sicker you get when you try to go back up. I wonder if it's only because they're trying to go back up, or if they're staying that level.
Decompression sickness.
Yeah, it does sound like the bends, right?
And Rico's already suffering some seemingly permanent effects from being in utero while her mother was down in the depths too.
Her vision.
Mm-hmm.
You could say that she was made in abyss.
Oh.
Oh.
There we go, our title.
Yeah, maybe the girl of destiny will have some sort of special powers that will help her go deeper into the abyss than a normal child would be able to. Because she was made in abyss. We'll see. Because it seems like the like supernatural decompression sickness puts an absolute limit on how far you can go into the abyss. Like children simply cannot go past a certain depth, because otherwise they won't be able to come back at all. Like coming back up to the surface will kill them. So for Rico, who wants to like go all the way to the bottom and maybe beyond, who knows?
I can't wait to see the creatures. This creature we already saw once was kind of interesting, and then the papers that they mentioned about the creatures down there seem really fun as well. So I wonder if they'll have some kind of battle sequence, or is it going to be like to sneak your way past these creatures that they run into, or constantly running away. Really fun show. The only thing that bothered me a lot was, I don't know, I guess it was just the design point, was her dress with that patch on the bottom. And I don't know why that irritated me the whole time to have that on there.
Oh, right. Yeah, the patch.
Yeah.
It's like skin colored. So there were times when I'm like, wait, is the backside of her dress missing? Or wait, okay, that's just a patch.
Yeah. I don't know why, that just bugged me quite often. But other than that, really fun. Really good show.
Yeah, this is definitely the show of the season. Like everything else, like if I'm even watching it, I could watch it weekly. This one, I want all the episodes right now. I would marathon the shit out of it. I wish I had all the episodes for this season. I wish I had them all for the future season. Like I can't wait to see more of this thing.
Does anyone know how many episodes it's supposed to be?
I don't know.
13.
Oh.
I believe.
Yeah, I can't imagine it being too long because there's only 5 volumes of the manga out. So it's probably a one core. I don't exactly know where they'll try to cut it, or if they're try to wrap it up. Well, they can't wrap it up because the manga is ongoing, but we'll see. One thing to mention is the studio that's doing it is Kinema Citrus. So they came about from was it Bones? Yeah, hold on a second. Let me look this up real quick.
Bones or IG? One of them.
Both.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, former production IG and Bones members. And then, since then, since 2008 when they formed, they've done a lot of so-so. I mean, they did like Codebreaker, which was Black Bullet, which was They did do Barakamon, which was well received and
they have their up
was a
and
good
downs.
show. Yeah, they do Is the Order of Rabbit, which is super popular. They did do Norn 9, which was awful. They did Kumamiko, which was awful. Last season they did Scorching Ping Pong Girls, which was good, despite the limited budget. And then Tank, they're going to be doing The Rising of the Shield Hero.
Yeah.
So
Wow, I've been waiting for that one.
Me too.
So they've been doing good stuff, and I hope they survive, in this climate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be more worried if they were just like a brand new studio and this was like their first or second thing. But
no, we would have seen the quality drop by episode 3 if it was.
Yeah. But but Kinema Citrus, like they have connections and it shows. The animation and character designer for this show is a guy like an old timer from IG, Kise something Kise. He's the director of Ghost in the Shell Arise, and he's been a prominent animator at Production IG for like 2 decades. And then for the monster designs and the monster animation, they got Ko Yoshinari, which is the brother of Yo Yoshinari. And he's an auteur for sure. So that's like a really good get. Yeah, I've got hopes for this one. It'll probably be all right.
So much fun. So much fun. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. So everyone already now knows what... I mean, everyone should be watching this already. We don't have to tell people to watch this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Made in Abyss. Everyone should be watching it. The next title we got is... Oh, you can't read that, can you? Let's change it. Oh, okay, there you go. Knights and Magic.
That apostrophe, it triggers me so hard.
Oh, I hate it too. Oh.
Knights and Magic. This has been pretty fun. I actually found the first light novel, and I've been reading it this last week just to see if there's any big differences or anything we're missing. And there is a little bit. I haven't finished the book, so I can't say 100% for sure what everything's missing. But Knights and Magic, it's been pretty fun for me. I don't know. It's one of the only mecha shows this season, right? Or maybe it is the only mecha show. I haven't seen really any others out there. So if you like mechs, this is definitely something you can kind of watch.
Yeah, just kind of.
Because it's not 100% on mechs. It's also the element of magic and everything going in there. So
it's just got a lot of mishmash. It's got an element of school. It's got an element of
Isekai.
Shota-kan. Yeah, there's the isekai stuff. I mean, it's just all over the place.
Your typical light novel, right?
Even more so.
Yeah, your isekai light novels that just focus on what they call night silhouettes, I believe that's what they're called. And these are what the boy considers robots. And as we said before, it's an isekai, so this guy dies, and it's the very first thing you see in episode 1. And that actually irked me a lot, his voice for the main character. When he was in Japan, I guess, just so they can make it more childish for when he's a kid. But when he was grown up, having that voice, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think they're voiced by different voice actors. I mean, the kid, as a kid, he's voiced by a female, I believe.
I don't know. It just sounded really weird, even when he was in his adult form. But supposedly he gets it's a hit and run, I think, or we don't know for sure. He just gets hit by a car, and then he wakes up in the carriage to this beast that's attacking, and they're saved by Night Silhouette, which happens to be, I believe, their father. And that's when he realizes there's robots in this world called the Night Frames, and he's like this robot otaku. He spent all of his paycheck, almost all of his money, just buying model robots, building them. Life in Japan, so he's a big fanatic. So now he realizes that there's robots here, and he can someday pilot a robot and live out his dream. So, and of course, there's also the element of magic in this world. So, in order to be a knight, Silhouette, you have to be a knight. So he has to also train to be a knight using magic and learning how to fight. And then it's kind of starts off in that whole first episode where he just does a lot of training just so he can get these skills so that he can get to pilot the robot faster. And then, of course, because he's a Shota, smaller than what he should be, they always bring that up. He's too small to pilot a robot. So now he has this whole bigger thing of he's going to build his own robot or Night Silhouette so that he can have a Night Silhouette to pilot. So, as I was watching this, there's a lot of things that confused me. Were you saying something, Mona?
I was saying that picture is troubling.
Oh, yeah, that from the mom. Well, supposedly he took all of his looks from his mother, and I was reading the book. So his mother looks like that. And there's a lot of things that that bugged me, like I was saying, his age, because you don't know how old he is most of the time. And I don't know if they mentioned it quite often, but like when he first met the twins, do you know how old he was?
He was like 8 or something, and then a couple of years later, at 10, I think they started school, and then going through.
So it was
like
just,
the manga says, but I don't have it in front of me. So
yeah, but in the anime they never really mentioned the age. So as I was reading the light novels, that's when I actually learned their age. He met those kids at 8, and then also I didn't realize until the light novel that they're twins. I don't think they ever said anything about that in the
No, they did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. I knew they were twins.
Oh, okay. But the series is moving pretty fast. He's already defeated a monster by piloting it, and that was kind of weird how they worked all that out with his special wand sticks, which he made look like guns.
like guns, yeah. They moved too, I think, because they like the entire relationship with the twins and their family and all of that stuff was completely skipped over, and I thought that was kind of sad. It's like a nice element because it actually, doesn't have directly to do with robots, and it deals with like the actual people.
Yeah, they skipped that a lot, and I just because in the book I was reading, there's the younger sister's involved in an incident with the younger brother.
Yeah, she gets kidnapped by their older stepbrother. Hates them for some reason. He thinks that they don't know their place and they have no business being at the school. He's just a snobby little shit. And he just continuously gets blown off by both of these kids, by these twins. and they just kind of ignore him and his antics and everything that he's doing and saying. And so eventually he just snaps and kidnaps the sister and holds her hostage so he can beat up the brother. And then Boy of Destiny comes and saves the day.
In the light novel, they wrote it off as he wasn't actually caring about them. The brother didn't really think too much of the twins until he saw them training one day and realized that they were doing stuff that he was just barely learning, and that made him upset. And then that's when he decided to move.
And the manga, it was more like when they were getting praised by their father and stuff like that. That was when he kind of snapped.
Yeah, so there's some things they're glossing over, which it was I think a lot of relationship building between the people, because you could tell that they're really close in the anime, but how did they get that close? Was it just because of the training? No, it's all this other stuff that's happening.
Yeah, like the twin stepsister, like the older stepsister, like where did she come from in the anime? You have no idea who she is, but like she plays a pretty, she's an ongoing role in the rest of the story, in the manga and the novel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this show is just getting even crazier. They're starting to make a new Knight silhouette according to the Eru, I think they call him, the main character. And now they're adding extra arms to it so they can cast magic and fight at the same time, which looks hilarious.
So I've only seen the first episode, and the villains were monsters or bugs or something like that. Are there any compelling villains that show up later on with actual motives, and other than I am monster rar?
Right now in the anime, they ran into this big, giant monster, and that's when Eru fights it, and then that crosses I think 2 and 3 episodes. Episode 2 and 3 when he defeats it in 2, and then the most recent, which is 4, is him trying to do his goal of making his own Knight silhouette. So he, requested from the king, I want to learn how to make the cores, and the king's, we'll have you do something else first to prove yourself before you can do that, or something like that. So he's trying to make them stronger by changing the actual Knight silhouettes and how they're built. But after that big boss, there hasn't really been any evil element added in right now.
Yeah, there is. You forgot about the secret, some sort of secret organization, or perhaps another country's agents, because they're one of the mechanics who's been working with him, one of the under mechanics. He goes off and reports in, and then says, "Oh, he's planning even more stuff." And then the shadowy figures go, "Well, then maybe we should wait a little while more."
Yeah, so, you're right. So there is going to be.
That was episode 3, end of episode 3.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
4.
I haven't watched 4. I don't think. But it's not a very good show. But it's one of those. If you watch it, it's gonna be guilty pleasure. But the CG it's CG, right? It's clearly CG and janky at that. It doesn't blend very well. Whatever they're doing, it's not blending well because the monsters and the Knight silhouettes are CG, and then you have at their feet people running around, and it does not blend. And then of course he is the little kid is OP, right? Mm-hmm. And he only brings in his elements that, I used to be a programmer in this other world, so I could hack the magic system. Only when it's convenient for him, but it doesn't affect any of his other personalities. He's just super robot otaku, And his one regret while dying was, I never got to finish that, Gunpla that I was going to build. So I guess he gets to build his own robot and pilot it. That was wish fulfillment at an extreme level. So Yeah, I mean, if you have time and you like that, sure, but it's not by any means compelling. There's plenty of other things to watch this season that's better.
Yeah, something about the abruptness of the premise of the show, where it starts off with it's a programmer, and it seems like his life is all right, right? Like he's got it together. He has a nice job. He can do what he wants. He can fulfill his hobbyist tendencies, which is to buy a bunch of model kits. But the show is almost like, what if I could just get fucking hit by a car, released from my mortal coil, and taken to my ideal anime fantasy land where I get to design and pilot robots for real? And that's exactly what happens. And yeah, like you would think there would be some like compelling bad guys, or there would be some sort of like subversive thing underneath, where it's like, okay, this world maybe is not as good as I imagined it would be. Like, actually, war is pretty bad, and there are bad things happening. No, it's totally unambiguous, 100% wish fulfillment. It's like, yeah, I get to pilot these awesome robots, I get to use awesome magic, and we're just fighting these evil monsters. Like, there's no moral ambiguity there. So it's kind of like the super wish fulfillment version of something like Yojo Senki, which sort of had the same premise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a dude gets hit by a train, then he's taken to this fantasy world where he's like this overpowered magician, but he has this like totally brutal personal ideology, and he's totally evil. So so if you just strip out all the subversion and then just make it 100% wish fulfillment, then it appears to be this show.
Pretty much. This on smartphone. So.
All right. I will drop that from my list.
There's not even obstacles to overcome, because by episode 2, using a hack, he's able to pilot, not very well, but he pilots one of the Night Silhouette, which you thought was going to be way in the future, but no. So every obstacle is not really an obstacle. There's no struggle. There's no character development. It's just.
So does he ever think about or reminisce about the life that he lost?
No, there's absolutely nothing so far.
But he has the memories of his past life, correct?
Yeah, and some skill sets, because anime thinks every computer programmer is a hacker.
Oh, it's not just anime, it's people in general. I'm married to one of those technomancers, so.
Well, there you go. So, yeah. That's the only time that comes into play, I think. But I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's just such a wish fulfillment fantasy that I feel like it appeals to this sliver of an audience. Like, you have to be exactly this dude. You have to like you have to love mecha and hate the real world and wish you could be taken away to the mecha world. And this is the show for you.
So based on what anime's been teaching us, we don't want to die peacefully in our sleep. We want to get hit by something so we can be reincarnated and have all our wishes fulfilled.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be a great show if he wakes up in episode 5, like, out of his coma.
What?
And then that would be the darkest ending.
He's got to wear an eye patch, though.
You like can't see.
If you're gonna come back, you gotta always have that eye patch.
Yeah, then he'll just wander around the hospital like, I've got to find a way to go back, and then he dives off the roof. Roll credits. That's my anime.
All right. Made in Abyss. Sorry.
Blasphemer!
Next title. Sayuki Reloaded Blast? Or Reload Blast?
Yeah. So...
Isn't that an old show, Sayuki Reloaded?
Kind of. When I was in college, one of the first anime I watched with the anime club was Sayuki, which this show is a sequel ×2 of. And I really, really liked it back then, and I still do, and it holds a special place in my heart. And these characters I've been following for over a decade now. And I can say that this show, Reload Blast, if you have not seen or read the manga or watched the other anime, it's going to leave you high and dry. It gives no backstory, nothing. It just jumps right in. No explanation of who these characters are, really, why they're doing, what their relationships are. So it's really geared for longtime fans like myself. And that said, I really do like the show. I'm happy to be back in Togenkyo again, watching these guys do what they do best, which is just kicking demon ass all across India. And I do recommend it with the caveat that you have to educate yourself on the Sayuki verse, or else this will make very little sense.
India. So is this like modern day India?
The West, like the story is into the West, so they start in Shangri-La, and the story going to.
Yeah, they start. China. It's like a fantasy world hybrid because there's magic, but there's guns. They seem to have the only car in the entire universe, which is also
really a dragon.
A magical dragon. Yeah, but they also have the traditional weapons. So Sayuki is based off of one of the 4 classics of Chinese literature by the same name, and the 4 main characters have their anime analogs or anime interpretations to those 4. So Son Goku is the same Goku from Chinese mythology, and the Monkey King. And they just bear a passing resemblance, but the characters are very complex, and unfortunately, you wouldn't know that if you had no experience with Sayuki. So I recommend watching all the older stuff, because it is a pretty good show.
So is this like the 3rd season or 3rd?
It's 4th, maybe?
It's the 3rd installment. It's just that they had really, really long blocks of episodes. So, like, the first season was 50 episodes, and the second season was 50 episodes, and then this one's probably going to be who knows how long. The manga hasn't gone that far yet, from what I can tell.
And they're all made within, a good span of time in between. So reading the manga is probably the fastest way to get caught up to where we are right now. Because Sayuki Reload, the middle one, had a lot of filler in it, and the second half of the original Sayuki was almost all filler. But all of these guys are kind of anti-heroes in their own way, as they have lots of vices. They aren't good people, but they're trying to do good things. And that makes for a very interesting dynamic when the antagonists show up, because the antagonists actually are very good people, but they're at odds with the Sanzo party because of conflicting ideologies and wants and needs. And so the whole shades of gray narrative is another thing that makes the show very attractive.
Is this fundamentally a shonen action show, or is it something else?
I'm not sure what magazine it was serialized in. I want to say it's Seinen, because it jumped magazines 2 or 3 times. And the artist Kazuya Minekura has also been suffering from ill health. And so the serialization stops, it goes on hiatus, and then will come back again. On and off for years, because she started this in the late 90s, I think. Her art's gorgeous too. You should really look at the hair. She doesn't draw the anime block hair. She actually does individual strands, or at least she colors it in a way to make it look like that. Very detailed art. Really pretty stuff.
So is that why the anime is also intermittent? It goes on and off?
Probably. I don't know if it necessarily coincides with the return from hiatus. I know this one does, but I'm not sure about Reload. It's been.
Kazuya the author, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Kazuya. Sorry.
I actually have all of the manga sitting on my shelf over there, the old Tokyo Pop reprints, or the original prints. And then they went out of business before publishing the last volume of Sayuki Reload, and I'm not bitter at all. Not at all.
Of course not. Yeah, it looks like there were some game adaptations too. A couple of games, anime, live action musical.
Which
So,
I would give anything to see. I have not played any of the games.
So I haven't actually watched any of the previous series, and just got dropped in. Maybe that's because I know the story, Journey to the West. It's a part of really ingrained Japanese culture. Everyone knows the story of Sayuki, so maybe that's why it don't bother me as much. It is pretty bloody. At least for this adaptation. I don't know about the previous ones, but people are getting decapitated and blood's flying all over the place and splattering on the camera lens. So yeah, although it is listed as shonen, not seinen, but it's probably borderline.
So according to Wikipedia, it began as shonen, then it jumped to josei, which is a fascinating transition. It's funny seeing shows that have those, that has that like dual demographic thing going on. So I've read that like pretty much everything now needs to at least have that kind of dual demographic appeal. Like it's hard to have just like a pure children's show. That if you're making a shoujo anime, it also, like if you're making a magical girl thing, then it also needs to appeal to some of the older men too. and now if you're making a shonen show, it's got to have a little bit of josei appeal. It's things like Kuroko no Basuke and Haikyuu and whatnot have a josei following, even though they're supposed to be shonen sports things.
And this was kind of before the current era of the super tight niches that anime has to find. This was she started it when it was more broad. And it's just as bloody in the manga as it is in the anime. But I think what makes it accessible to both men and women is that there's the violence and the gore and everything in the action, but then you also have these very intricate interpersonal relationships and characters that are warped because of past trauma, and so you have the best of both worlds coming together. I mean, if I were to talk about it, it sounds like a terrible idea with a dragon that turns into a jeep and they drive around in this jeep dragon. I mean, that sounds stupid, but when you actually see it in motion, it's pretty cool, actually. And it does not shy away from some pretty depraved topics too. It's Hawkeye, the guy with the little monocle, is half yokai, and the reason he is one is because he killed 1,000 yokai. That's one way that a human can turn into a yokai.
Because they killed his wife, who is also his
sister. Yes. So there's incest too, and rage, and then Goku was in prison for 500 years. Literally 500 years. And so you have somebody who was holed up for over half of a millennium, and that's going to do something weird to you. And Sanzo has his past trauma, Gojo has his past trauma, and they all express this through their actions. So it's not just trauma for the sake of trauma, it's part of their character too. It's not cheap, misery porn or anything.
It's not just them, but the antagonists too have their own stories. Them are really delightful.
Oh yeah, in fact, my favorite characters are the antagonists. I love Kogaji.
Right? Like Kogaji is awesome.
Oh yeah.
So
totally.
Yeah, it's not just the traditional characters that get a lot of attention in this, and that you really become attached to them. You have enemies that sometimes become frenemies, and there's a really interesting dynamic between each of the characters, how they pair up. So it's a lot of fun. It's been one of my favorite series again for as she was saying, for 10 years. So been following it for a long time and have been through the manga. At least so far, Blast is staying on canon. There was things got a little off track on both of the previous series, so we'll see what happens. But I think what the problem is that they tend to get ahead of themselves with the anime. They dedicate a lot of episodes to it, and maybe the manga just hasn't really caught up yet in stories, so they have to kind of come up with their own until the authors come up with the story themselves.
So they go off course and sort of make up stuff, but then they go back into the canon manga stuff. So
yeah, they try and shoehorn it in because I think in the first anime series there's a fight where Goku nearly kills one of the antagonists, and so they become desperate and use a hybrid of science and magic to kind of fix him, but it ends up breaking his mind, and he's not the same person that he was in the beginning. And in the anime, they fix it really early, but then in the second one, they kind of have to go back and readdress that again. So they have Goku fight him again, I think. It's been a while since I've seen Reload. And so it doesn't, there's not a one-to-one comparison of the story in the anime versus the manga. It's sort of all an amalgamation of ideas, and sometimes it retreads the same ground, which is, I think Mona mentioned that it's got, over 100 episodes with the previous 2 anime series. So if you want to get the story the fastest, the best way is to read the manga, because there's, I think, 20 volumes or 19, something like that. So it'd be much faster to read it than to watch it, for sure.
okay, hair looks nice. I will say that.
Yeah, her art's amazing. You should check out her art books, if nothing else.
Well, according to the internet, it's slotted for 12 episodes this season. So hopefully
that might actually work in its favor, so it doesn't have to spin its wheels with contrived plots.
Yeah, so hopefully the storytelling's better for you guys. Or for y'all. All y'all. Next up, a personal new favorite for this season for me. I've been having fun with this. Gamers, I think it was called.
Man, I forgot to watch this thing at all.
Uh,
So it premiered pretty late, right?
Yeah, there's only 2 episodes. I mean, the season premieres have been really strange because there's I think there's even one show that only has 1 episode out. There's quite a few that have only 2, and then there's some that's on its 4th. So they've been kind of spread out, so it's kind of hard to get a good time for a lot of these shows. But Gamer is one of those that only has 2 episodes out, and I think the next episode's on a Wednesday. And this is probably one at least for right now, I'm kind of on a weekly basis. I gotta watch this. And it's not that it's a super great story or anything. It's just funny to me, and it's hilarious because how they've been doing things. The comedy is great to me. So first overall, it follows this kid who's always by himself and playing games, it seems like, and has his passion for it. So this girl,
So by games, do you mean just video games, or are they also playing Dungeons and Dragons or something?
I believe right now it's all on video games, but one kid mentions that he plays block puzzles a lot. So,
and their club room has board games in the background too, not just video games.
Yeah, so they have a lot of games, but it seems that the club that she's trying to hook them into is competitive gaming. So Kara Nintendo, I believe is her name, is the class idol and stuff. And as the first episode is playing and showing her, they give you these really weird remarks like this is her before she breaks down or something like that. So you're like, what? And then they show the boy, and then they put the remarks, this is the cause of it or something. So you're like, what? Wait, what? How's this going to go? And as you're going through the show, she invites him and desperately wants him to join the club because she finds out that he really does have a passion for games. She even confronts him in a game store while he's trying to buy a bunch of games and has him do his whole passionate spiel about a game, like, oh yes, this game is so, and he kind of loses himself, and like then he goes back to his little meekness, like, oh, I forgot I'm supposed to be the shy little boy, right? So she eventually pulls him into the club and another guy, and she shows them what they do, and they end up playing like an FPS, which is like CS:GO or something, it looks like. And they're just playing and playing and playing, and that boy's that's already in the club room. I guess there's two others in the club room. One's a FPS player, and the other one's like a fighting game. And they end up playing the FPS game for 2 hours, and the boy just is all tired out from all of this and surprised that they have this large passion as well. And as they're having this discussion about having them join in, he's remarking on how he's never had friends, and how he's never had anyone that he can game with, that all of this is really great. And she's like, so will you join us? Will you join us in this club? And he looks up, smiles brightly, and tells them, no, thank you. You guys don't play the games I like. So it's this really funny moment, and everyone's like, what? He's like, I'll see you later, and just walks off, kind of thing. And then she ends up confronting him in the classroom again, you know. It's like, please join us, and he's playing a social network gaming there, and he's requested for help, and the timer's clicking down, and as she extends her hand to have him join, he starts reaching out like he's going to grab it, and then of course he pulls away to hit the accept button on the phone, and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And while he's apologizing, he's still playing the game to the side with his finger. So it's this really funny thing, but he says that he loves playing games, but he doesn't like the competitiveness, and that's why he won't join the club right now. But he ends up rejecting her again, and she kind of freaks out. So it has a strange comedy to it, and I just love it. It's because although a lot of it seems like you can see where it's going, you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen. When it does happen, it's still funny to me. It's still really great. But every once in a while, they'll pull a fast one on you. You're like, wait, what?
So I got to ask, do they actually depict the games on screen, and how do they do that?
A little bit. When the one character is playing an FPS, he's criticizing the newest member. You were just jumping around, and it shows the little character jumping up and down. It doesn't look like CG, but I can't be sure because it's drawn to make it look like CG without actually being CG.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the girl that's playing the fighting game, I mean, one of the fighting games he plays in the arcade has this total Persona 4 knockoff thing going on. So it has this Persona.
So it looks like the Persona fighting game, but it's not actually that game.
Yeah, they named it something else. Yeah, I mean, it was just so obvious if you look at it. I mean, that thing has so many, like, almost these quick ads, you could say, because like he's drinking this Coca-Cola bottle in his hand, and he has the logo right towards everyone. But of course, it's not Coca-Cola; it's something cola. And
so it's not real product placement.
Yeah, I mean, even in a CS:GO, they called it something else, but you could tell it was a Counter-Strike. And a Dusk map, I think it was even. You could tell the map; it was so obvious. Even though it's been a while since I played, but yeah, it looks like they're pulling from some real life games that are out there. But it's a really good comedy to me. It's really funny. Do you have anything to add, Jessica? Or?
No, I haven't watched all of the episodes yet, but it surprised me as I was expecting something, rather vanilla high school comedy, but it's a little more than that. The jokes actually made me laugh out loud when I was sitting on the couch, and that's not something every comedy can do. So I definitely want to watch more.
By description, I'm a little bit reminded of that Suzumiya Haruhi episode where they play the Sagittarius game.
That was my favorite episode in the series.
Yeah, that's like everyone's favorite.
Yeah, so it's interesting. The only thing that bugs me is Tendo's ribbon in her hair. It seems like wrapped around her head. So, I mean, I don't know why I'm getting so picky with these accessories on characters. But other than that, to me, it's a really fun show. I can't wait to see how it goes, how it plays, and what it's going to go with the third episode. But why don't we head on to the next title? Yokai Apartment, right? No Yuga na Nichijo. What's this show about?
So, has anybody else watched it?
I have. I've watched 2 episodes, or 3 maybe.
So the story is about a guy who lost his parents at the beginning of middle school and has lived with his relative. He hasn't really felt comfortable in that house. So his goal is to become independent and go to this vocational school that has dormitories. So he's getting ready to go to this school and he's all excited for it. The day before he's supposed to go, or like a couple weeks before he's supposed to go, the dormitories burned down. So he can't go and he has to stay in his relative's place. So he's really down about that, and he decides, well, I'm gonna move out anyway. I'll move out for school anyway. So he goes apartment hunting. Nobody's gonna give him anything because he's essentially an orphan and he can't get a promisor or guarantor. And finally, he stumbles upon this realtor in the middle of the night that gives him the perfect place at the perfect price. And the catch is that they appear. And so he goes to see the apartment and he comes to discover that they happens to be yokai. There are ghosts and demons and spirits just roaming around and living there paying rent. And there are also a couple of, I can't remember the word right now, it's the kind of shamans, like Japanese shamans, or spirit and magic users.
Onmyoji?
Yes, Onmyoji, thank you. There are a couple of Onmyoji there who live there, and other people who are involved in paranormal research and stuff like that. So the story is about him adjusting to this new world at this yokai apartment, and the weirdness that manifests when you're surrounded by spirits. Like there's this spirit of a little boy and his dog, and the story is that he was basically murdered by his mom when he was 3 or 4, and the dog was furious and ripped out the mom's throat, and now the mom is stalking the son in the afterlife. And so, like, one of the episodes is about the adults in the apartment, spirits and human alike, staying up and holding vigil against the mom, making sure she doesn't cross the barrier to get to the little boy. So there are some heavier elements in the story, and you can see the main character but becoming more and more emotionally involved in this environment and in this strange new perspective that he's forced to take. I've been reading the manga for a while, and it's one of my favorites, and I think the anime is doing a good job of representing that. So I'm looking forward to it, and I definitely think it's worth checking out.
How many episodes are there right now?
3, I think. Yes.
Is it a show you would recommend, or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the story itself is really, like, if you're into like the old, Japanese ghost stories and stuff like that, and yokai, then obviously that's kind of an interesting element to go into it. But also, it's just a very character-rich story. And it's fundamentally a story about his development and how living at yokai apartments has kind of helped him deal with real life and the reality of his situation, both at school and at work, and kind of bringing the supernatural into his real life is kind of fun to watch as well. Like later on in the story, he starts developing these onmyoji powers, and he starts becoming more attuned to the spirit world and starts to be able to have more influence there. So the story kind of picks up a little bit later in terms of action and things going on. But
Would you say to go ahead and start with the anime, or do you think trying to pick up the manga first and see if you like the story first, and then go to the anime?
I think the anime does a good enough job that you can start with the anime, and it's not really going to make a difference. It's just better visuals.
Right.
The same story.
Do you want to add anything, Jessica? Or?
No, it's really cute, and I like it a lot. It's there is some conflict, and you know that there's something brewing in the background, but it's kind of relaxing. He's just, at least where I am in the story now, he's settling into life at the apartment and getting to know the other tenants, and I really do enjoy it a lot, and I would recommend it.
Yeah, I have like a very particular type of anime that I love. Natsume's Book of Friends, and like those kind of slow paced, like, but supernatural. I love Barakamon and like that kind of, I like that kind of pacing. So that's kind of what appeals to me about apartments.
I may check it out then. All right, our next title is gonna be. Oh, it's kind of off. Oh, you can't really see it.
Green on green.
Well, that's just our luck. Let me see if I can say this. Tsure children.
Close enough.
Close enough. So this is a short anime. It's only about 15 minutes long. The story is it's based on a 4-panel manga, right? Yonkoma manga, and it's illustrated by this guy Wakabayashi Toshiya, and he's been I've been following his work on Pixiv. He is a published mangaka, not just a web mangaka, and I've actually purchased some of his other manga before. So, so here on his Pixiv page that I'm sharing, you can see that he has a bunch of stuff on there, but also a lot of it is part of this series. So it's set in one of the schools. I can't remember the school's name, but they're all little short stories. So for example, on the first episode, we followed this story, Fumajime na Kanojo, meaning what do they translate it as? I can't quite remember, but there are basically 10 of these 4-panel mangas, right? And so the amount of stuff you can do with that is pretty limited. But he has many of these stories. So in each episode, there's about, like, it's an anthology. There's about 3. I think the latest one had 4 episodes about different interactions between people. And it's usually about, you know, it's a romantic comedy type stuff, right? So in this first one that you see, which I think was the second segment in the first episode, the class rep and the vice class rep are, you know, trying to get work done, and the class rep, the girl, is not is lackadaisical and actually doesn't want to do any kind of work. And she's like, "Oh no, I'm lazy. I don't want to do any work," you know. And then, you know, the vice rep is saying, "Well, why did you then, you know, why did you take this job on then?" And she is teasing him by saying, "Oh, it's because I like you and want to be with you." You know? And so it's all these really funny comedy moments. Now let's see. Let me see if I can screen share a different shot of the. There we go. So from the third panel, this one is, you know, the direct translation into the animated media, and they've actually done a pretty good job with this. I was surprised because of the material and because it's a 15-minute short. I thought they would kind of make it cheaply, right? But they've gotten good seiyus. For example, the girl here is played by, you know, Kana Hanazawa, you know, super popular A-list voice actor. And the animation, you know, you think they just go ahead and skimp on the backgrounds like they would in the manga, but no, it's actually has backgrounds. It's probably CG assisted, but it's well animated, it's well voiced, and it's hilarious. So, you know, for 15 minutes, I would actually highly recommend this series. And many of these characters will have recurring moments and recurring roles, and you'll see some of them interact with each others, but it's mainly about all these different comedic situations that in high school, you know, I like her but she likes him, or, you know, I can't tell if she likes me, all of that kind of stuff. It's very bittersweet, and I'm way too old for this stuff. But it's funny. So I highly recommend it. For 15 minutes, this is a great show.
So it's adapted from web comics on Pixiv, right?
Yeah, but he's actually he's bound them together, and it's actually published as a tankobon, a manga volume. So it is actually published. He also uploads these to Twitter, so you can read them on Twitter too. But yes, you're correct.
Yeah, that's pretty neat origin. You know, it makes me think of like One Punch Man and was it Real Life was another webcomic?
I don't watch that one, but
and I suppose Mob Psycho 100 was one of those as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like webcomic first and then republished like on paper once it became popular.
Right, I think so. So, yeah, if you can read Japanese, you can go to Pixiv or Twitter and read it. Otherwise, watch it on Crunchyroll, like you see there. It's actually VRV is the site I'm going through, but you can access directly on Crunchyroll.
Oh, yeah, I was about to ask. Like, I've never seen that interface before.
Yeah.
Yeah, VRV is like the huge. They all got together, right? So Crunchyroll, Funimation, Rooster Teeth, Geek and Sundry, Ikiwa, all those channels put together, kind of made a package deal. So VRV, you know, for, is it $10? I think it's $10 a month. You can watch all those channels through them, premium content.
Yeah, but you don't have to register with them if you already have a Crunchyroll account. You could just sign up and attach it to your Crunchyroll, but you'll only get to watch the Crunchyroll content, none of the others.
Yeah, so it's a distribution package, basically.
Yeah. So, like, one day I got to it because, you know, Crunchyroll, high volume day. It may take a while, but you could try this link, and then that's where it's sent. Yeah, it's a great series. I like it a lot too. Nice little shorts, and it's almost seems right now at the beginning because of it's a lot of individual stories that you can just pick it up anywhere and just watch your favorites later on as well, or show just the little clips that you like to your friends instead of watching it all.
And I'm surprised by how quickly the anime streaming landscape is changing. You know, with Crunchyroll and Funimation merging, and then Amazon emerging as a player where Sentai Filmworks publishes their stuff.
Yep.
It's really interesting. And like the
Netflix.
Yeah, God damn it. Goddamn Netflix. Because when Netflix gets something, that means nobody gets it. And
No.
nobody's simulcasting it. So you're like, oh man, Netflix.
They
Somebody's got a
have
fan
not
sub.
figured out the simulcasting thing. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And there's been one show a season for the last 3 or 4 seasons where Funimation or Netflix will scoop it up, and it's just dang it.
Yep.
But you know,
This
they have
season-
a completely different distribution you know, ideology, right? So they want to hit mainstream, and to do that they need all their shows subtitled and dubbed in multiple languages so they can hit the market, you know, all at once. And they want to drop the entire core all at once. So for them, you know, a couple of otakus demanding simulcast is nothing if they get, you know, 10 times that number watching the entire season.
That's a
entire
good
core.
point. Yeah.
So it doesn't make business sense for them to go through a simulcast when their methodology has been drop the entire season and have everyone addicted to it all at once. You know, create that buzz. So I don't really, you know, I guess because I had used methods, I can watch it raw, right? But I don't fault them for going that route because they're trying to get a bigger audience. You know, the audience number that they're going after is international. For example, Little Witch Academia, right? It was super annoying not having a good substream, but once they dropped, you know what? It's in German, French, Spanish, Japanese, and English, with other subtitles in Chinese, Japanese, English, and Chinese simplified too. So being able to do that and hit that market instead of, you know, a small segment, you know, like Crunchyroll, if you don't read English or able to listen to Japanese, you're done, right? So the Germans would need to know English to be able to watch it on Crunchyroll or whatever. So their Netflix's policy and ideology is different, fundamentally different. But yeah, it is annoying for people who really want. I mean, if they had scooped up like Made in Abyss, it would be super annoying. So I get it, but that's not their strategy.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't know. I mean, they're kind of stabbing in the dark. They're like, okay, this is going to be a big mainstream thing, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And I wish they had more sway over the things that they license, so that they could actually make their premiere of it like the premiere. But I guess the titles where they're actually going to do that, like Perfect Bones and Devilman Crybaby, those are on the horizon. But I don't know about the mass market potential of something like Fate Apocrypha.
Oh yeah, that's right. They scooped that up this season.
Yeah.
They have something else they scooped up too, right?
Yeah, and
People
I
are
can't
super
remember
annoyed
what it
about
is.
that.
Was it that like gambling thing?
Oh, I think you're right. That's a weird title to pick up, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
What is it? Kakegurui?
Yeah.
Hey, you got it right.
I've been practicing 30 minutes. Well, let's go ahead and go to the next title. Princess Principal.
Oh, we already made it here, huh?
Don't get it confused with Princess. That's a totally different show. Princess Principal? Looks like it's Sean's.
Princess Principal, you can just look at the logo and make some assumptions. You got brass, you got gears, you have a top hat. I like an anime that has like a strong design aesthetic, and even though steampunk, Victorian London steampunk is a little bit derivative, but at least it has that, and they really lay it on thick. It's like monocles, top hats, brass, rivets, old cars. There's no steam per se, because the premise of the show is that there's this magical new energy source, and London, which they call Albion, Albion has exclusive access to this magical power source that makes the steampunk-esque world. But for whatever reason, they don't really go in depth in the history yet. But the kingdom has been split in two, into the Kingdom of Albion and the Commonwealth of Albion, and it's the country is split right through London. So it's sort of like an East-West Berlin situation, and there's this Cold War happening between the two nations, and so it's all about the espionage happening in London, defectors and royalty and all that stuff. So all the spies are little girls, and they all the spy headquarters is like the club room at school. And there's even a scene where they flip over the backboard and it's just like full of guns. So it is like this level of stupid that I'm talking about. But the thing that makes it work is that the anime really believes in what it's doing. It goes in all the way. It's not just a little bit steampunk, it's all the way steampunk. And those aesthetics are just everywhere. And it's not just a little bit stupid, it's like all the way stupid. And that's what makes it entertaining. Like it believes in what it's doing, so you go along with it. It's kind of like it's almost like a Studio Trigger anime in that sense, right?
At first blush, it doesn't seem like the girls are very good spies, because the one girl with the braid and the glasses, the princess says, "You're a spy, aren't you?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm a spy." Like, I don't know that you know what spies are about. But then later on in the episode, you find out that they knew each other in the past, and she actually had left the princess a note saying, "Yeah, I'm kind of a spy." Mm-hmm. So it's intriguing, and I like it. I really like the character designs and the aesthetic. Like Sean was saying, the steampunk stuff is pretty cool. I just hope that it does a little bit more of the cat and mouse stuff with spies instead of just turning into an action show.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they didn't they like the first episode just like you're like right in the middle where everything's already set up together? Then episode 2 they started back at the beginning, showing you how they got together.
Yeah.
So.
Like all media these days, it has to open with a bang, right? So it just starts with his car chase, you drop right into it. And then episode 2, they started doing some backstory. And episode 3, they finally start imbuing the characters with motivations. And you get to learn a bit more like character backstory from there. So the closest thing I could compare it to is Joker Game. But the bad thing about Joker Game is that like every episode was a clean slate, and they could only establish like so much of emotional gravity within just the span of one episode, and that was kind of a problem with Joker Game. It feels like you just scratched the surface of this world and the plot, and then the credits roll. But the benefit of this show is that they're not moving on to like entirely new characters, entirely new plot every episode. You know, the characters are the same, and in episode 3 they started establishing like motivations and stuff. So I think it has the potential to be way better than Joker Game was, even though Joker Game is a much more serious seeming show than Princess Principal.
But them being little girls, I don't know if you can call them that. Like, I think even one of them said they were 20 years old.
Yeah,
So,
one of them's an adult masquerading as a
Mhm.
high school student or something. But whatever.
yeah. It's been a fun show for me, too. I don't know, that main girl, Angie, I think her name. I find it interesting, and I find her as the most interesting character in the show. And it started even at the end of episode 1 when she's always saying, like, she's a spy, so spies tell nothing but lies.
Mhm.
And the way she shows her character, and even at the end of episode 2 when she meets the princess and has that light at her back so you can't see what face she's making, was really great and fun. Like, what's going on? What's really with her? But I really question her whole lizard alien planet thing. uh,
Yeah, she could be lying about that one.
she's fun whenever she brings that up.
I also like
It's
there's a sense of there's still a sense of danger in this world, even though all the cast are like these cutesy girl characters. That someone's getting killed every episode, and like defectors sort of come and go, like they're used and abused and then tossed away. So they're like the Joker Game-esque brutality of the espionage world, you know, it's still there, even though the show is called Princess Principal. So you know there is tension in it that I can enjoy. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got to say about it. It's a good looking show. Like that, it has that going for it too. Like there's only so many good looking shows every season, and I think for this season it's basically Joker Game, Ballroom, and Abyss, or not Joker Game. I mean, Princess Principal.
mm-hmm.
So if you're just looking at like pure quality, then you know Princess Principal is in there in the top 3, in my opinion, anyway.
All right. Anyone else have anything to say about this? Or?
Nope.
That was Princess Principal. Next is, how do you say this? Shokoku no Akira.
So is this about a chef who gets hit with a car, or am I thinking of something?
No.
Okay.
Whole drama about the Ottoman Empire, and that's it. And it just basically follows this young man who his goal is to become Pasha, which is one of the war generals. And he has a bird, Iskander, that was his name. And that's how he fights, is with his bird and on his horse. He's a prodigy and he's brilliant. He makes Pasha at age like 14. And he was orphaned because of the last war. And there's this empire that's on their border that's been poking at them. And basically the story opens with him trying to stop the war. And then as it goes on, it kind of develops into him accepting the necessity of it and contributing and learning from the general that he originally considered his enemy, the person who stood against his ideals the most. So the story just goes on to see him exploring the world and meeting new people, and you know he goes to Venice and Tunisia and all sorts of places, all over the Mediterranean. So the story is basically about the expansion of the Ottoman Empire and how it really started. I'm not familiar enough with the origins of the Ottoman Empire to know any of this is accurate. But like the infighting in the beginning to their inevitable uniting and expanding, and it's got a lot of breadth to it, and it is kind of a breathtaking story in that way. There's so many moving parts, and there's a lot of intrigue and political interplay and cultural references that aren't intuitive, I guess. So it can be a little jarring, but it's a really cool story, and I love historical dramas, so I thought it was.
So, what is the closest genre to this thing? Is it like a palace drama, or is it political, or is it a war drama?
It's more of a political war drama.
Okay.
So it's more of a like it's historical, maybe, or whatever. Yeah, just the history.
I don't know. Like, to me, it kind of gave me that vibe, like, of what was that show a few seasons ago?
Arslan?
Arslan Senki.
Yeah, it kind of has that vastness, like in terms of that vibe, and it's just this one's actually based on a real culture, so it gives it an interesting twist. You can see things that are familiar to you, and like references that are familiar, which is interesting.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
You seem to enjoy it. So, like, who would you recommend this to, or?
If you like epic stories, this is one of those. It is like Arslan in that sense. There's this kind of epic story, and this, everything is like a world-changing event in what they're doing, and it's about military tactics and stuff like that. So if you are into that kind of like war drama, then you'll probably dig it. And if you're into histories and like exploration of, the Ottoman Empire, then it can also be interesting to you. Or you would just become appalled at how they misappropriated this culture and completely botched it.
So I only saw the first episode, and it was somewhat interesting, but with all the other titles I'm watching, I don't know. I did like that thing he always held. I always wondered what that was. Why he had that? Yeah, that was kind of cool, and I did when they showcased that at the end. So it does have some things where I kind of want to watch it because I could learn a lot of new things or just see a lot of interesting things happening that I'm not normally familiar with, since it's has such a different setting from a lot of the other shows. So it might be interesting in that sense, but it's right now it's really hard for me to try to get into this series. I may try to give it. Should I try to give it the 3-episode try, or?
Yeah, I think you should.
Episode 1, I don't know.
It's pretty good. Also, the backgrounds are really neat because it has the very intricate Islamic architecture and geometric patterns and designs. So they're interesting to feast your eyes on, if nothing else.
But they completely extracted Islam from the culture wholesale. Mm-hmm. They replaced it with like a water-based religion that's all about mountains located in different areas. They completely took away Islam. They're like, we're not going to touch that particular atom bomb right now.
So, but everything else is the same, but it doesn't take place in some fantasy world, right?
Culture and like even the language and the words that they use to find it are Turkish.
Okay.
In fact, they featured Turkish in one episode, don't they? Because they go to another city undercover, and oh gosh, Altair starts speaking this other language. I assumed it was Turkish, but I don't know.
I'm not positive.
It didn't sound like a conlang.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think I know. It sounded like Eastern European, like Estonian or something. But I'll have to listen to it to see what it might have been.
Yeah, I mean the characters looked really interesting and everything. The only thing I would have to and the birds. I don't know why the birds that he had looked really nice too. But the quality, I don't know. Is it staying consistent? Because it seemed to me that the quality might change a little bit. Because even when they were dancing, that was kind of weird how they had it look.
The fight scenes are pretty good. There's a lot of detail there, and they look very Sakuga-esque. But yeah, that dancing scene was strange. It was really choppy. But the fight scenes have a consistently high quality. I don't know if that's going to hold out throughout the entire cour.
Who makes this thing? Oh, it's Mappa. Crazy. Yeah, if Mappa's behind it, I guess it has a chance.
I guess I'll give it the next 2 episodes a try here after this hangout or something. See what it's got.
Yeah, if I remember, I'll check this out. Like I'm curious about it since it's Mappa. Like what really stopped me from watching damn it, what's the other show that's just like this one that a lot of people watched and it was popular?
Oh, Arslan Senki.
Arslan, yeah. Yeah, what stopped me from watching that is that the show didn't look that good. Like it was struggling at episode 1. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to subject myself to this. Like I have to really love the story to do that. But yeah, I'll take a look at this thing if I remember.
Yeah, well, Heroic Legends of Arslan is originally an older story, I think, and so they're redoing the manga, and the anime is kind of follows the story of the original.
Yeah, I remember the anime looking like Full Metal Alchemist because it had something to do with the manga author or character designer.
I think it's the same manga artist.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next title, which happens to be. Oh, wait. Is that? Well, it is. Tenchi no 3P.
Where'd Albert go? I'm sure he put this one on the list, didn't he? Or was it you?
Oh, that was me.
Oh, okay.
I thought Tyler was going to be with us, and I wanted something we could talk about. This seems like a title that he would definitely pick up. But all right. How should I explain this?
See you later, Mona.
Have a nice. Thank you for joining us.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Actually, let me just introduce this one because this is a show that is basically made for me. Because it's a wish fulfillment fantasy, but instead of like getting hit by a car and being taken to the mecha world because you're a mecha fan, this one is you're a bedroom producer and somehow your bedroom music that you published on the internet gets you this lowly harem, and that's the fantasy. And so these 3 grade schoolers that are just like prodigies at music performance somehow. Like they need help from this bedroom producer to write songs, which is already really hard to believe.
I don't think he's writing them songs. They just want him to bring in people to the church so that they can hold a concert at the church.
Oh, okay. But in any case, these three child lowly prodigies are like, I heard your music online and it's the greatest, and I want you to be a part of our thing. And if you do this thing, I'll let you touch me. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm not watching this one. Like it couldn't get more seedy. But
Wait,
it is real.
how many episodes did you watch?
One.
Okay.
That sounds pretty creepy, to be honest.
Because in episode 2, they actually clear that misunderstanding.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the old play on words, where she's like, "I'll let you do what you want," and of course she was talking about the guitar, like, "I'll let you touch the guitar and everything," because those are the classic instruments that no one should have or something. They're so old.
Nevertheless, that was the hook that was implied in episode 1. So let's not beat around the bush. We know exactly what the show is and who it's for, and why it exists. But yeah, it's really fun. It's really funny. Like, I've never seen this kind of shows, because I started reading the premise. I was like, oh, I gotta watch this. It's about some like bedroom music producer. Like maybe this will be about music production or something. No, it's no, it's totally not that.
Yeah,
But it is funny. It is funny that it was made.
I mean, it reminds me of that one, like, preschooler basketball team girls, that show.
Isn't it by the same original author?
Yeah, that's what Tyler said. It's from that studio or something.
I'm not too sure. I haven't looked it up, but it has a lot of those elements in it. Like you said, in the first episode, you could totally see where it's going, and then in episode 2, they definitely kept on going that route, to the point where they decide they're going to hand out flyers. And how are they going to do it? Well, they need a dress for it.
Oh, no.
To appeal to people, so they all get changed for him and what they're going to be wearing. Like, the drummer is wearing a school swimsuit.
Oh.
The other one's just wearing, like, nothing but an apron. And the other one's in, like, the, what do you call it, bloomers with the gym uniform. And of course he's all freaking out, like, no way, there's no way we could do this. And so it has that total.
Yeah, it checked all the boxes right there. It's your triple uniform fetish.
And then even you have his little sister trying to. You could tell that she has this somewhat brother-con, like bro-con, whatever you call it. Like, she goes to go visit him, to spend time with him, and of course he's not there. She all gets upset, like, and here I was to spend my precious time with you. She's all like, where the hell are you? Blah blah blah. So it's what it is, and if it's, I don't know.
It's what it is, and I suppose it serves this audience. You're either a huge lolicon or you're a bedroom music producer who's a huge lolicon. That's the audience.
Yeah. But I don't know. Because of everything else that was happening, I can't even remember if their music was that good, or.
I mean, it was unremarkable, but it was like professionally produced music when they started playing. It didn't sound like Fua Fua Time from K-On!
Yeah. And later on, they perform again, and it totally skips the whole music. It just barely starts, and then they're at the end of it. So the music's not even being showcased in the show. It's mainly catering to the fan service right now. But they did introduce a new element, which was the father, or the guy that's in charge of the orphanage that took care of him, and he's was the priest at the church. He ends up walking in at the wrong moment, but he doesn't think any of it. She's like, "Oh, the girls are giving you trouble." But you realize that their dream is to do this concert in the church because the church is going to be closed down and and they're going to be taken away and move away because someone else wants to buy that land. So that's their whole drive for this concert and why they want to do it. Because the priest talked to the girls about his dream of always performing the concert there. So they wanted to help him fulfill his dream by doing it for him. So that's why they ended up learning the instruments from the father. And they want to do this concert before they leave. And at the end of the second episode, the father talks to the kid all about this. And then he tells him, please help my daughters or please help them give up on this. He doesn't want them to do it. He wants him to help them bring it down, to let them go and tell them not to do this concert at all because he doesn't want their dreams to get crushed or he doesn't want them to fail. He doesn't think they'll be able to do it at all. So they have that little thing going on. But other than that, it's total fan service.
He doesn't realize that the key to saving Christianity
The
is
Rock.
this lolicon fetish ban. That's how you get people back in the church.
Yeah, Tenshi no Sanpi or 3P. I wonder if they'll just stay a 3-member band the whole time because it seems like they're showcasing their little sister a lot. So I wonder if they'll make her join or something.
Yeah, why not? They got to do something to make this thing 12 episodes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really hard to see how this is going to go that far, but you also have this whole reason why he's a hikikomori type of thing, and he ends up running into his old classmate who brings up some information like none of the classmates from middle school are there anymore. You should be able to come back, and he kind of turns away like, something bad happened. Then of course you have the artist that's always drawn for him, that makes his music popular according to him.
Yeah, I guess you didn't find out who he or she was.
Yeah. There's still some elements that are mysteries right now that are out there, but I don't see it being this whole big thing when it's mainly catering to just fan service and everything like that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see how it goes from Tyler. Next up is from. I actually was interested in this show a little bit, but I want to hear someone talk about it first before you joined it.
Oh, this show. Okay.
Wait, how do I get this out here? There it is. What is it called again?
NTR, which is Netsuzo Trap.
I thought NTR meant something else.
I thought the NTR meant something else. I mean, not that I've seen this at all.
I think it does.
Is this that show? Is this a show about that something else?
Well, if it's the something else, it's like the cuckold fetish.
Right.
That's what NTR is. Yeah. Then yes, this is totally about that.
Is this short or?
Yes, they're about 10 minutes long, the episodes. So it's about 2 couples. And there's 2 girls, Hotaru and Yuma, I think, who are really good friends, and they each have boyfriends. And for whatever reason, Hotaru decides to fool around with Yuma. And Yuma is not really wanting to, but that doesn't stop Hotaru. Hotaru's really a terrible person. She uses emotional manipulation to get Yuma to do things outside of her comfort zone and basically cheat on her boyfriend with Hotaru. And then later on, you find out that Hotaru's relationship might be an abusive one. And it kind of implies that her boyfriend knows what's going on, that she's having an affair. And he's pretty pissed off about it, and that's where all of the anger and abuse is coming from. Doesn't make it right, but the other boyfriend, unfortunately, is blissfully unaware that his girlfriend is cheating on him. And so it's really a lot of murky, bad relationships going on, but unlike Scum's Wish, instead of the characters working through all of this and becoming better people, this tends to wallow in its glory because I think it's supposed to be for people with that fetish. It's fetishizing the affair is what it's doing. The animation is crap too. It's real limited, very horrible to look at. The characters are off model. It's not very good. I'm gonna stick with it to see if maybe it can move beyond the whole NTR thing and actually have something to say about cheating in relationships, but my hopes are not very high.
How can it move beyond that? That's the title.
I don't know. I mean, the manga, it's got several volumes of the manga out, so I would hope that there'd be more of a plot than just two girls cheating on their boyfriends, but...
So the funny thing, I actually learned about this before the anime because I was looking into Scum's Wish on Amazon because I think that was the only way you could watch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I was looking for it, I think I found the manga before the video for Scum's Wish, and then it showed this as a recommendation.
Oh, okay.
Like that. So I was like, what? What's this? And oh man, I was just okay. So when it became an anime, just I was surprised. But do you think was a smart idea for them to do it as shorts versus doing it as a whole episodes like Scum's Wish, considering what it is? Or...
It would probably benefit from a slower pace and more character building, but I haven't read the original manga, so I don't know how that is laid out. If it's just hopping from one scene to the next and they're using the manga as a storyboard, then yeah, shorts would be the way to go. But if it was more methodical, then I think they should have done full episodes. Because the cuts seem a little abrupt to me. At least every time the end comes, it's surprising. And it doesn't feel natural. Because you know how some shorts are perfectly well cut in a way that, oh, this is the end of the short, okay, and it feels natural. This does not. It's very abrupt.
Man, I'm trying to remember this like short series, or it was shorts, and it was about like a girl who could see spirits, maybe.
Poopy Po.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Poopy Po. Yeah, that one was an excellent example of short anime. And so was Yamano Susume. That one was great. Because there are 3 or 5 minute episodes, but they didn't feel like it.
I don't know. I was actually thinking Poopy Po is something that felt like it was one big thing and then they chopped it up.
That could be. It's been a few years since I've seen it, so all I remember is, dang, this is pretty darn good. But I think I watched them all right in a row. So.
Yeah, I think I watched it weekly and it was rather painful.
Yeah, but Yamano Susume, yeah, it was definitely one that the pacing was better. And well done.
Did you ever see the Nobunaga Ninja Girl thing?
No, but I don't really care for gag anime.
No, that one had really good pacing as well.
That one comes from Akitoto Daichi, and that's like his specialty. Like he's made so much gag anime, like 1 million bajillion episodes of Ojarumaru, and like Gag Manga Biori and like a zillion other things. So he's like the expert at it.
Mm.
No wonder. But NTR is definitely not for kids.
No.
Not for
No.
kids.
No.
Yeah, it goes without saying. It's got like a fetish right in the title.
Yeah. So I was watching this and my husband came walking by the living room and he goes, "The stuff you watch," and just shook his head. He was teasing. He loves to give me crap about it because it seems like he only ever walks out when there's, naked people doing stuff on the screen.
Oh my gosh. I think there's another really sketchy show going on right now.
Oh, it's the skirt one, right?
Yeah, and that one's I think only a web release.
I haven't seen it, but from the trailers, it looked like it was probably softcore.
Yeah,
The skirt one. What the hell's that?
The name is really, really long.
the translation in English is like a wolf in dress. Something.
Yeah, it's
A woman's
Skato no
clothing.
Nako wa Kedomono deshita.
Yeah, a wolf in a skirt or something like that, or a woman's clothing.
There's a monster in my skirt. There's a wolf in my skirt or something. Yeah.
Okay. Is it unlicensed?
It's
Or
unlicensed
goes-
currently,
oh, okay.
and I can't imagine it ever would be because there was the one last season too that was with the monk, the Buddhist priest, and the woman that never got licensed. That was also kind of like a mommy porn type.
Yeah. I think the what is it called? The ATX special,
ATX.
like for like I think it was like the Sin anime.
Oh, Nanatsu no
They got
Taizai
Hajime
Sin.
yeah,
That one, yeah. I watched an episode of that. I want my 20 minutes of my life back.
Hajime no Gal's that this season. I did not expect it, to tell you the truth. I remember seeing the cover of a manga and I was trying to read it and I was like, God, this is stupid. And I didn't bother to read the manga. So I'm like, oh, it's an anime. I might as well just check out the first episode to see if my guess was correct not reading this. And I was shocked at the censorship. Actually, it was kind of funny at the beginning. And I did not think it was going to be one of those ATX specials from what I read in the synopsis of the manga.
Oh, the censorship drives me nuts. It's very distracting.
Let's go ahead. And
it's...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it just... I wish that Crunchyroll or whoever was streaming it had a "Are you over 18" kind of thing, and you'd get the uncensored version just because you're trying to watch this show and then there's a black bar through half the screen. And remember Tokyo Ghoul was censored really bad. Funimation did, where they just had it all darkened out and you couldn't see what half of the action because it was people getting sliced to ribbons. I want my sex and violence, damn it.
In this episode 1, at one of his fantasies, you hear this girl say, "Okay, let's get started," and then this border appears.
Mm-hmm.
This weird, colorful border. And then you see hands come out, and then like they're blocking certain parts, which was hilarious to me. I was like, "This is so funny." And then at the end of the fan, you see they're like, "Goodbye," and then they left.
It's like an advertisement for the DVD. You want to see titties? Buy the Blu-rays.
It was so funny. I did not expect that on Crunchyroll, but let's hear about Koi to Uso.
I've only seen one episode, but what I saw I really liked. It kind of reminds me of a YA novel in that it's a dystopian civilization and it focuses on teenagers who are living in this civilization, and it's basically modern Japan. Except that marriages are arranged by the government, and usually around your 16th birthday you become available to be paired off. Some people wait longer to find their matches, or they have to wait longer to find their matches, and then others get a match almost right away. And so, of course, it's a forbidden love type story set in a world where you can't have that, where a young teenage boy and girl are in love with one another. But on his 16th birthday, the boy gets paired with someone else. So I'm really curious to see where they're going to take this, because YA fiction is usually in two camps, where either the heroes will try and change the civilization or fight against the autocracy, or it's a moral tale of we can never let society devolve to this point. So I'm really curious which one of those two we're going to see here. And it hasn't really made itself apparent as of the first episode which one we're going to get. But I like it.
I suppose there's the third, more depressing route, which is just, this is an excuse to have this plot and to have this tension. And
yeah,
we're just gonna wank that for 12 episodes or whatever.
That is also a possibility, yes.
So it wasn't apparent to me like if it was going to be that. So I'm kind of holding off on it, but it seems like the people who are watching it really like it.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you like it to be? The whole...
I kind of prefer the cautionary tale version of the 1984 type of dystopia, where it just shows the dystopia and the lesson is we can't let this happen. And those novels are usually reflections of a fear belonging to the zeitgeist. And that's what I like, because I just find the whole, fighting against it a little unrealistic. But sometimes it can be good. It depends on how it's written, but there's a higher bar for success to be met with the ones where they actually fight against it and enact change. Because what teenager is really capable of doing that, honestly? So I'll definitely keep you guys posted and let you know what it does.
The only other thing I have to ask is, because of their age and everything, is this a high school drama? Or...
Yeah, it's high school.
Place outside of high school most of the time.
Yeah, the main character just turned 16. I'm not sure how old his love interest is. I think she's a senpai. I watched it a couple weeks ago. I've been playing Breath of the Wild, so I'm behind on my anime.
Yep.
All right. Now, next is what everyone's been waiting for forever. Isekai wa smartphone Tomoni. I don't know what the English version of this is. Something like.
So does this guy also get run over by a car?
Actually, you know what? He gets struck by lightning by mistake.
How do you get struck by lightning by mistake? Isn't that all lightning strikes?
No, God. No, God.
Zeus hurls a lightning bolt from Mount Olympus and accidentally hits him.
You know, so supposedly he's up in a tea room with God, and God talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, so
with God,
I accidentally drew some light or dropped some lightning, and then it just so happened to hit right where you are."
Is God a sexy little girl?
No, it's this old weird guy.
Shock.
So, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It was...
He's some old bearded man, like that kind of God.
So his cell phone works in a fantasy world without 4G. Is that just hand waved away as magic?
So yeah, okay, here's how it goes. So he accidentally kills him, and he's like, "My bad," type of thing, But here's what we can do: we can, I'll bring you back to life, and you can, but I can't bring you back to life to your world because of some rules or something like that. So I'm going to have to bring you back to this other world, and I'll give you something or one thing you want as, an apology type of thing. So the boy's like, "Oh, well, and he looks at his phone. He's like, "How about this? Can I take this with me?" So God's like, "Oh, yeah, I guess so. We can do that."
Jeez, worst God ever.
So the God says, "Go ahead. We'll make it work so that you can bring that phone with magic, and you'll even charge with magic." And he's like, "Will I be able to call anyone here and stuff?" He's like, "No, but you can call me. I'll make it so you can call me."
Call me.
But you can still look up the information from your world and stuff. So basically, he still
gets
the information, and up-to-date news from his
Oh
world,
my gosh.
but he can't interact with our world. But he also, God changed the map and navigation settings for his phone so that it works while he's there.
So is he reborn a baby clutching a cell phone?
Well, that's one thing he actually asked him. Like, so do you want to be reincarnated from the beginning and stuff? He's like, nah, can I just come to where I'm at right now? So they decide that he's going to stay the same age, and he just wakes up in the middle of a field, you know, a little bit away from town. So, and he has his phone.
So does his phone make him all powerful like a lot of these isekai ones?
In the anime so far,
Has
not
it
right now
is it
because
a
I
power
have
trip
read
or a comedy?
it. It's so harem-esque. Right?
Okay, so yeah,
Harem.
it goes without saying.
Yeah, I was reading the web novel, and he didn't. He has a lot of power, but he's so like he nonchalant about it and everything. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it! You can use all the different attributes of magic. No one ever has that and everything." He's like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm special." And that's how he really just feels about it. And he doesn't, you know, try to be all powerful or try to be like, "Hey, I'm Mr. Cool" or anything. He's just spending every single day going through with these two girls that he met and he protected. And he does have this really weird sense of justice where he, oh no, there's a girl in trouble. He goes over there, helps them out. Now they follow him or he follows them. In the second episode, the samurai girls getting dinged up a bunch of people, and he's like, "Oh, this is bad," and they go over there and help her. Now she's following them. So we'll see how that keeps on going.
Okay, how does he charge his cell phone?
That's how it was explained. But like God's told him, you know, with your magic, you'll be able to charge your phone.
So
So
there's magic in this world, right?
yes,
I think in a
yes.
world of magic, the cell phone would not be that exceptional.
Well, it's considered like a magical tool
Hmm.
and everything. So
Oh,
it's a,
Jessica left. It's just us now.
oh, for her. It's a strange show, but the thing that I found funny about it was like I was reading the web novel beforehand,
Hmm.
so it's I think the anime adaptations from the light novel, so I don't know how different the web novel, light novel, and the anime is going to be.
Hmm.
But the character designs are way different. You ever watched Hayate Gotoku?
No, but I know of it, but I never watched it.
Hey, let me see if I can do this real quick. How do I do it? Screen share.
So there were multiple adaptations of that, right? There was like an old one, then a new one.
So like you see here, that's how the main character looked in the web novel.
Hmm.
And then, of course, you got the twins, and how they looked. Totally different from um, the anime. I don't know if you can see that if it's too small. Oops.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I don't remember the anime that well.
But I don't know. That's the vibe it gave me when I was viewing it and how it looked. But the it's totally another one of those, you know. I guess you could say reincarnated or sent to another world, and all of your wishes are going to come true. There's no sense of danger because of how powerful he is and how strong his abilities are right now. And of course, his friends that he's joining up are equally as strong or have their own attributes that help them out within their quest. But as far as I read in the web novel and um, what it looks to be is that it's just them doing multiple quests and going from quest to quest. I don't know if there's going to be a big enemy or if they're going to have to overthrow some, you know, king or Demon King, as they call it, right? I mean,
Oh, so it's kind of like an RPG then, right?
yeah, it's
They're just picking
very
up party members and having adventures. And...
Yes, right, that's how it's going right now.
Okay.
But they have some pretty funny eye catches that they do these transitions from one scene to the next, kind of depicting of some of the things that are happening. So like when he's training with trying to learn his attributes, he has this little stone, and he says, "Come forth, water," and water pours out of it. So then the eye catch shows him with that thing in his hand, and it's bloody and everything, and the girls are caught up in this whirlpool. It's a kind of like a little comedy thing to it. So the eye catches are kind of fun in that little way, but it's really far. It's a really far-fetched title. But unfortunately, I think I'm going to watch it all. It's a show for me. So I think we've hit our 2-hour mark, so might as well just end it here, right?
Yep.
So everyone watching or going to watch later, thank you for joining us. Don't forget, if you Wednesday they got that Ancient Magus Bride movie coming up Wednesday. Check Crunchyroll movie things that they have. And I think they call it Anime Night, right? On Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
So they've been releasing movies or trying to release a movie every month in theaters. It's usually a one night a month showing. So, and this is supposed to be the premiere of the first 3 episodes of the season that's coming up for this show. So I'm excited. But other than that, thank you guys for joining us, and hopefully we'll see if we do another hangout next week. Bye-bye.
Yanpasu. Peace out.
Yeah.